Greetings from pool-plaza.com. We're here to demonstrate how to take apart and repair a Pentair WhisperFlo pump, including changing the shaft seal and replacing the impeller. Before you start working on the pump, make sure you have the tools that are needed to do the job. Most of those tools are going to be found in the average garage. A socket set, a 1/2-inch socket, 9/16 socket, a flat screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver. In the case of this particular WhisperFlo pump, you'll need either a star screwdriver or an Allen wrench that will fit a very small screw. Wrenches of different sizes that can fit the different size bolts on the pump. Before doing anything to take the pump apart or work on the pump, be sure that the power to the motor has been turned off at the circuit breakers. And if you're going to work on the motor at all, remove the cover plate by loosening these two screws and disconnect the wiring from the motor so that there's no way it can accidentally come on while you're working on it. The power end of the pump, which includes the motor, can be removed from the front of the pump, which is plumbed into the inlet and outlet, by removing the 6 bolts that hold those two portions together. Once the 6 bolts have been removed, you can back the power end out of the pump and remove it from the foot. This portion is the diffuser, which is what's responsible for the quiet operation of the pump. It's a different design that makes the water flow very quiet. And the diffuser has an O-ring that fits on the inside of the pump. There are 2 screws that will need to be removed to remove the diffuser. We use a star screwdriver or an Allen wrench to remove the screws that are holding on the diffuser. There are 2 of them. And that uncovers the impeller so we can take it off. Before removing the impeller, we go to the back of the motor to remove the cover over the shaft and secure the shaft so it can't turn while we're removing the impeller. You'll need a wrench that can turn this cap a 1/4 of a turn and remove it. And then with that same wrench, you can hold the shaft still to remove the impeller. We're holding the shaft still so that we can remove the impeller, which is on the other end of the motor. In order to remove the impeller, we first have to remove the screw in the center, which is a reverse thread screw. We turn the screw clockwise and remove it from the impeller and the shaft. Once we've removed the screw, then we can unscrew the impeller from the shaft. Remember that the impeller has threads in the back and is screwed onto the end of the shaft. You cannot pry it off. When you're removing it, turn it counterclockwise, holding the shaft in the back. And the impeller is off. In order to get the seal plate off to change the shaft seal, we have to remove the bolts that hold the motor to the seal plate. As you're removing the screws, you'll need to put the motor somewhere so that when you get all of the screws out, the seal plate won't fall off until you're ready to remove it. When you remove the seal plate, secure the motor and turn the seal plate upside down on a table or a flat surface so you can remove the seal. In order to remove the seal, you'll need to tap it from the back side pretty hard because it is glued inside the opening. Then turn the seal plate upside down so that the interior part of the seal plate is showing, and you can put the new seal in the seal plate. The new shaft seal with the metal cup goes inside the seal plate, metal cup down, and you use a 1-inch PVC coupling to secure it inside the seal plate. Once you've got the seal in, then you can reattach it to the motor to complete the repair. The next step after installing the seal in the seal plate is to reattach the seal plate to the motor. Make sure that you orient the seal plate properly. It says rotation at the top, bottom at the bottom. Put the seal plate over the shaft and make sure that you've installed all 4 bolts and tighten them before proceeding to the next step. Next, we'll insert the ceramic seal into the back of the impeller before replacing the impeller on the shaft. And the seal should look like this when it's installed, so that the white part is still showing. The next step is to replace the impeller on the motor shaft. Remember first to secure the shaft so it cannot turn in the back. After we secure the shaft on the other end of the pump, we'll install the impeller again by screwing it onto the shaft in a clockwise direction. Make sure that the impeller is screwed on as tight as you can get it with your hand. Next, we'll install the impeller screw in the middle of the impeller. Remember that the impeller screw is a reverse thread and turns in the opposite direction you would normally expect to tighten a screw. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to tighten the screw. Next, we'll reinstall the diffuser over the impeller. Remember, there are 2 screws that'll have to be tightened before we've completed that. Now we're ready to reinsert the power end of the pump into the wet end. Make sure before you do that all your screws are tight, that the diffuser O-ring is on, that the housing gasket is in place, and then you're ready to put it in. Then you attach all of the screws to hold the 2 portions together. Now that we've reattached all the parts of the pump, we'll put the lid back over the basket. Make sure that the O-ring is in the lid and is secure before you do that. Make sure also that the lid turns completely before you release it and is tight. Now that the pump is completely reassembled, reattach the cap over the shaft end, turn it 1/4 of a turn, reattach your wiring to the motor. Be sure that the ground wire is attached to the green screw. This is a 220 motor. Make sure that your other wires are securely attached. Then reattach the motor cover in the back. Tighten the 2 screws that hold that cover on, and you're ready to turn the pump on and make sure that it's working properly. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. Remember that we are pool-plaza.com, and you can reach us anytime during the weekday between 8 and 5 Central Time at 800-394-6131. You can also email us at info@pool-plaza.com.